There are some things inside the Sea of Thieves that I'd recommend you stay away from. However, in this tale, you will hear of something so bad that I would urge anybody, whether new or a veteran on these waters, to avoid. But despite this, my story will still take you on another wild adventure as I prove my strengths and show my weaknesses upon the open ocean. I'm Captain Daddy, and in this tale you'll hear of what is best to steer clear of in order to have the most fun inside the Sea of Thieves. I awoke once again in a tavern, but this time I had a plan full of adventure today, and if I wanted to achieve my goals for this journey, I knew that I would have to move quickly to get plenty done. My aim was to reach level 50 with the gold hoarders, as I was already so close. However, I wanted to add a twist to the usual grind, to show people new to the seas one of many ways to enjoy their time here. This ended up proving not to be the case, but I know that despite this idea not working as intended, my voyage ended up being full of action and adventure with plenty to tell. So as I raised my emissary flag and purchased a golden compass, I also raised my hourglass in the name of the Servants of the Flame, to defend my treasures against any oncoming threats and creating a greater risk during these travels. As I set sail on this adventure, I was feeling ready for a fight, whilst also looking forward to protecting any valuables I managed to put on board my ship. Before long, I had reached a nearby island, digging up the first of many map fragments. However, for this vault, the X had been found straight away, and whilst knowing the island, I headed towards my next destination in hopes of receiving my first vault key for the day. As you are aware by now, things rarely go my way, so as I approached this new island, I could see another ship anchored down, waiting there. Still, feeling brave, I decided to take a closer look, and from what I could see, this vessel had been left. But with it being so close to where I wanted to leave my ship, something had to be done about it. Knowing the owner could be within earshot, I did not want to start firing my cannons, so instead, I decided to raise their anchor and let their ship sail away. However, in doing so, I forgot to maneuver their helm, which resulted in them sailing back around in front of me, crashing into the island as the captain frantically swam after it. This quickly backfired though, when I jumped off my ship as they sailed away to take some treasure they had left behind, and another ship rose above the waves, bearing the flag of the Guardians of Fortune and ready for a fight. I had to rush back and maneuver the Redbeard to take on this foe, and so began my first naval battle of the day. This was a long fight, many cannons fired back and forth, following by ramming attempts to end this fight quickly, until I was finally able to board the enemy. Taking them out and almost winning this battle. However, it was not meant to be, as I was soon sent back to my own ship. More and more cannons were being fired, and my patience was wearing thin, already spending too long fighting just one ship in the hopes of protecting the vault key I was yet to dig up. So I tried to end this with many more ram attempts. However, in doing so, I had neglected my lower decks, and in a panic, I bucketed out the water and drew it back into my ship, ending this torment and sending me, the Redbeard, and any chance of receiving that vault key to the depths of the ocean. For me, I was not defending much treasure at the time, but I was fighting to not lose the map fragment, and having to play with the intentions of not rushing fights and sinking meant that these fights were lasting too long for a captain with duties off the seas. But I had to try this again, as it could have just been a one-off. After wasting my first vault key, I bought another golden compass, raising once again an emissary flag and the hourglass. However, upon sailing out, I was instantly met by another vessel rising from the waters, and once again readied myself for a fight. But with much less on the line, I began to fire my cannons and ran them with intentions of boarding. And after several back and forth attempts, and what seemed like an even fight, I successfully boarded the enemy and began to take them on. It appeared quickly that this pirate's combat on deck was shaky, and after slaying him multiple times, I had beaten him, sending his ship down as I had my first victory of the day. Although this was a victory, it was not an epic one defending a massive treasure as I had hoped for as I began this day. So to change this, I headed out in search of my second vault key. As always, I was between islands fighting skeletons and digging up map fragments until I completed the treasure map enough to know the location of the key. And once I had found it, I headed out again in hopes of achieving this goal. Before reaching there though, I was once again met by an enemy ship ready to fight me, and with the key's location on my ship, I was once again defending this in the hopes of me finding the vault. However, this fight was, again, long, drawn out, and totally out of my hands. After many cannons fired back and forth, failed rammings and even worse board attempts, I knew that my opponent had the upper hand. However, my only chance was to attempt to board him and hope that I could beat them at hand-to-hand combat. Not once was I able to do this, as they knew I did not have good enough aim to hit their ship from far, and if they kept a certain distance from me, then they could see me trying to board and move out of the way. I won't lie and tell you that I wasn't completely bored with this outcome, so I devised a plan to get him to follow me around a rock, and as I did so, I spotted a keg, so I picked it up, and with him not seeing me jump off, I had time to carry this explosive to his ship, climb the ladders, and get shot by him, killing the both of us in the blast and damaging his ship. This was good for me as it must have shook him, but as our ships were now so far apart, I was not able to get back in time to finish him, as he was already repaired and was back on the offend. Whatever I did just didn't work, and after over 2 hours and a lack of wood, I had enough. I was ready to let my vessel go down, until I saw it. From a distance, I could see the other pirate carrying over a keg to my ship, and as I knew I had already lost the fight, going down in a blaze of glory was an option I was willing to take, so I awaited his strike, and before long, both me and the Redbeard were blown down to the bottom of the ocean. And I knew after this fight that I was no longer going to defend, and unless you are a seasoned veteran, defending your treasure creates nothing but a block, stopping you from attempting crazy plays which can either win or lose you the fight. And when you are carrying around your prizes, there's no real benefit other than the glory at the end to say you had done it. If you think otherwise, please let me know why you believe defending your treasure is worth it for anyone. But to me, I feel like this only hinders you and adds nothing but suspense. Therefore, any average pirate isn't going to want to risk all of their loot. After restoring the Redbeard's beauty and patching her up, I had realised I had made no progress with the gold hoarders, so decided that I would hold off defending my treasure now and actually attempt to collect my vault key and get away with the treasure. So I raised an emissary flag and purchased yet another golden compass before once again island hopping to find map fragments until discovering the key's location. For the first time on this voyage, I had finally gotten to the island with the key and dug it up, all the while holding my first golden key and readied myself to take on this vault. Upon arriving, I had managed to find the vault location and rather quickly empty out the catacombs of all the treasure, solve the puzzle and collect my prize, which I have now begun calling the Chest of Ancient Tributes. After finally boarding all of this on my ship, I defeated and looted one more fortress to reach emissary level 5 before finally heading off to sell my goods for a nice profit. Once finished, I was just shy of level 50 for the gold hoarders, and by mistake, as I spoke to the man at the tent, I had accepted an emissary quest in which I received many treasure maps for nearby islands, so then I headed out to find them. Sailing from island to island, I found a vast amount of captain's chests, which was a fun little trip, However, upon arriving back at the fabled tent and selling my goods at the Sovereigns, I was finally level 50 and my aim for today was complete, despite my lack of combat, so for this I knew I had to face some competition. I dove down into the ocean with my hourglass raised, ready to fight, and I could not wait to dive headfirst into my opponent. As I rose from the seas, the enemy sat ahead and we quickly began blowing holes in each other's ships, splintering the boards and breaking through masts, until they were too preoccupied taking care of their ship, so I took advantage and fired myself towards them, successfully getting aboard, beating my enemy and destroying their ship. And although I could have ended this story on a good note, I chose to dive down one more time to face one more opponent. For one final time in this tale, I arose in front of an unsuspecting Guardian of Fortune, and after a lengthy fight of back and forths, I could tell this was an even fight. We were tearing through each other's decks, setting fire to their ships, but all the while maintaining our own vessel to keep ourselves in the fight. As I knew one of the only ways I could win were to board their ship and sail it out of bounds, blowing them up due to my poor naval abilities, I tried over and over to get aboard. However, every time I was met by the end of their blunder. After the final time of being taken off, I got back on board the Redbeard to see a beautiful sight. Another ship had arrived and they were both fighting one another, and I knew this was my chance to capitalize on this and take them both down. This triple threat had begun and we all traded blows. However, my enemy had soon made short work of this wanderer, but as he revelled in his victory over the random sloop, I took my chance as I sailed past them, firing an anchor ball, holding them in place, before finally getting to board their vessel, and from then, there was only one thing to do. I took down my opponent, and soon after his ship had sunk, and I was crowned the victor. After this, I sailed back to an outpost to put down my hourglass, as I would call it a day. However, from this, I had learned that fighting as an attacker, you have nothing to lose and so much to gain, meaning you can make the most dumb plays you want without worrying about your ship being sunk with all the treasure on. However, defending makes you become too reserved, and depending how long you are able to spend inside the Sea of Thieves, these fights tend to last so much longer. However, if you feel any different, please let me know in the comments. After such a wonderful day, however, of reaching level 50 as a gold hoarder whilst completing my first golden key vault and attempting to defend until finally going on the attack, taking down 2 ships one after the other, I'd say my day was not wasted and also drew in a good amount of gold. If, however, you would like to hear more tales like this, you can click on my previous story on screen where I complete one of every pirate's dreams. And if you want to meet cool pirates like me and many others whilst getting the chance to play with them, consider joining my Discord, which you can find the link to in the description. But for now, I have been Captain Daddy, and until next time, arrgh!